Hello, my name is John Occhi. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams and the Excellence in Real Estate team. I want to thank you for joining me for this special video report that I call Negotiations, the ins and outs for both buyers and sellers. Now this is going to be a multi-part report, probably 5 or 6 parts by the time I'm done, but we're going to cover a number of different topics here. But in this first topic, we're just going to talk a little bit about what negotiation is and kind of the mindset of the people who need to be there, and a little bit about me and my experience. I have been a realtor. I'll be honest with you, I'm a relatively new realtor. I've been in the business now for 1.5 years. And before that though, obviously I've been in business. If you look at my gray hair here, I might have been born at night. Okay, it just wasn't last night. All right, so I've been in business. I've been earning ever since I got out of the service back in 1981. I have lived primarily on commission, and anytime anyone lives on commission, that means that they can negotiate. They negotiate their commissions month in and month out, and to create the lifestyle that they're accustomed to. So with that being said, just take my word for it. I've been at the negotiating table representing buyers, representing sellers, representing those who provide services and those providing products. So it's all good, and it all kind of comes together, and there's a couple things that we need to talk about. Particularly the mindset. If you're buying, the person that you want to negotiate with is a seller that's motivated. Motivation comes in a number of different issues. It comes from whether it's a financial situation, whether it comes from the fact that they have a job that they have to be to at a certain time, or they're moving into a neighborhood and they want to just, they're coming in from out of town. They just don't have a lot of time to spend shopping for property and shopping for homes and getting accustomed to the neighborhood. They need to get in now. They're motivated. That's a motivated buyer. Motivated seller is the same thing. Maybe they have to leave because of a job transfer. Maybe there's a death in the family. Maybe there's divorce. There's disease. There's all types of tragedies and great things that happen in people's lives that cause them to move and cause them to move quickly. Motivation is a key factor. All right, it applies to all fields. Now, sometimes it's even prudent to have a third party come in and do the negotiation for you, and we'll go into that a little bit. What do I mean by a third party is sometimes as one negotiator is dealing with the other negotiator and we seem to be stuck. Maybe it's time, and maybe it's money, maybe it's some of the terms, and we just can't get past a certain point. And what happens will typically happen in a real estate transaction if an agent gets stuck at a particular point and they just can't seem to get forward, and it seems like it's a good deal, it seems like we're just close, we just can't get it to the next level. We'll often bring in our broker. We'll bring in another agent from our office and have them sit down at the table, have them make the call, and just see, you know, and just what is the problem. And they can usually, just by being the higher authority, the third party, the fresh face, the friendly voice, they can get past whatever the stumbling block is, if indeed it's just a stumbling block. Now, what we want to avoid is the seller who's, you know, they just want to put a price out there and they want to see what's happening. They're fishing. They're looking, and if somebody comes along with a blank check and they fill in the right numbers, by all means we'll sell. But they're not motivated. They're just fishing. They're out there trolling. They're hoping to catch something. All right, and that's not the type of party that you want to be associated with. Okay, and the same thing goes with buyers. So buyers come through and they just want to come in and put in, you'll find buyers who consistently put in lowball offers. They'll find property that meets certain criteria. Maybe it's been on the MLS for 60 days, it's vacant, and they just figure the seller's really motivated, and they just come in and they start writing offers 30–40% below asking price, and sometimes they get accepted, especially if the property was owned. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in another segment in doing research, but if the seller has owned the property for a long period of time and they have a lot of equity, you know, the difference between making a $250,000 profit and a $210,000 profit, if the property is just sitting on vacant for 60–90 days, then there's a good chance that the seller may step forward and be able to take advantage of that offer that's presented. And so the buyer is looking for those deals. And anyway, that's how that works. All right. Persistence. Persistence, I coined a phrase. I didn't coin it, it was coined to me. It was something that I learned when I first got into business, right out of the service. I actually worked in the collection agency industry, And in those days, it was nothing but dialing for dollars, and back when we actually had rotary phones, okay? But, and we had a saying, persistence breaks resistance. And the same thing holds true in negotiation for the purchase of real estate. And sometimes you just have to keep going back and going back and going back and going back and going back. This is actually a technique that real estate agents use in soliciting listings. We'll do something that we call farm an area, and we just get back in touch with the same sellers month after month, month after month, year after year, and eventually that seller, they're motivated. There's a reason why they want to sell then and there. And when they're motivated like that, what that does is it shows that the persistence has paid off of the real estate agent. And if they've been that good about it, then typically the seller only thinks of that real estate as the first person who comes to mind, and there's no one else that they'd rather give the business to. So that's real important. I just want to throw in a bit something about price here when we're talking about negotiation, and price is usually one of the stumbling blocks or terms. And when you're dealing with someone who's offering a service, such as a contractor, let's say a contractor, and they're offering a service and they give you a bid, and it seems like it's a fair bid, but you still think that you can negotiate, and you may be able to negotiate the price and bring it down a little bit. I advise not to, as long as it's a fair price, because what you're going to end up giving up is service. And you're not going to get the product that you would have gotten had they done it for the price that they wanted to do it for in the first place. They're going to hurry up and get off the job. They might buy material that isn't quite up to the highest standard that they would have bought with the more expensive bid. So it's real important when you're dealing with contractors. This is outside of real estate, but when it has to do with negotiations. Services should never be negotiated beyond a fair price, because you want the incentive, you want the service provider to have the incentive, the financial incentive to do a really great job for you, and not feel like they're getting their bones picked clean by the buzzards flying overhead. All right, so I want to thank you for tuning in for this first part. I want you to join me. We're going to talk about key questions that you need to ask and investigate when you're entering into a negotiation situation in real estate, whether you're the buyer or the seller. So until next time, this is John Occhi wishing you and yours all the best. Make every day a great day, because every day is just so precious. All right, thanks again to you and yours. God bless. Bye-bye now.